Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about college football. And, as a transplant here from the United Kingdom, some 39 years ago, I did my undergrad at University of Michigan, and I really developed a passion for college football. And, my wife also ran track at the University of Miami back in the late 80s when the Canes ruled. And so this story really resonated with me. I'll put a link to the article in the description to the video. Now, this particular article I'm gonna talk to you about was released in September of 2024. It's on ESPN.com. I just got I guess there was an update article, but I couldn't open it, so I'm giving you the link to this one. But this has to do with the Alabama Crimson Tide's former strength and conditioning coach, Scott Cochran, who, by all accounts, was one of, if not the leading strength and conditioning coach during the time that Nick Saban was a coach and, Alabama was winning all these national championships. Just a really interesting guy, but I'll share some of this stuff with you. It looks like initially that he was suffering from headaches. It says, according to Cochran, a doctor initially prescribed blood thinners and then beta blockers, which slow a person's heart rate and relax blood vessels to control migraines. However, neither drug did much to control the frequency or the intensity of the headaches. A doctor proceeded to the next step. He was given Vicodin, which contains an opioid. And the doctor even said to him, be careful, this can be addictive. And of course, the coach had a bit of an ego, as he admits, said, it's going to be fine, I've got it. Well, turns out he didn't have it. And things got worse for him. Let me find the... it says here, none of the 8 former coaches who previously worked with Cochran said they were aware of his substance use struggles. It says here, by 2015, 3 years after the first prescription, Cochran said he had developed an addiction, taking 10 pills per day. He crushed and snorted the pills so they'd get into his bloodstream and rid him of his migraines faster. He said he obtained prescriptions from a doctor in Alabama and another in Mississippi and bought additional pills from dealers off the streets. Can you imagine that? Here he is, a strength and conditioning coach for arguably, at the time, the most prominent college football program in the country, led by the most prominent college football coach, potentially ever, Nick Saban, and he's buying street drugs. Think about that, right? How risky that would have been for him in his career, because if he'd gotten caught and arrested, it would have been over. Forever. He would have lost his career. But ultimately, it says here, on April the 10th, 2020, Cochran was discussing special teams play with coaches from the Atlanta Falcons. His wife Sissy, found him passed out in the office. He was sweating profusely and wasn't breathing. His skin had turned purple. He was having an overdose. So I guess paramedics got called, recognized who he was. They started chest compressions. They thought he'd had a heart attack. They didn't realize he'd actually have an overdose, but one of the paramedics on scene did, and they gave him Narcan, which is the overdose drug in response. If someone's having an overdose, you hit them with a shot of Narcan, either up the nose or it can even be an injection, but it reverses the effects of the drug. And it basically saved him. And ultimately, he went into treatment. And I guess fast forward a few years, he is doing much better. I guess he shared his story with another coach who'd also had a cocaine addiction. And I can tell you, if you're a college football fan like me, you'll probably be aware that Steve Sarkisian, the really fabulous coach of the Texas Longhorns, also had a substance use disorder. And I think actually it was Nick Saban that gave him an opportunity and brought him in as an offensive coordinator to help him get his career back on track before he was eventually hired by Texas as their head coach. So listen, nobody's immune to this stuff. I don't care who you are. And I've talked about this before. In fact, this morning I was recording a podcast with a colleague of mine, and she's very much involved with the Florida bar's efforts to help lawyers, because believe it or not, lawyers are actually twice as likely to develop a substance use disorder as a civilian. And lawyers have problems. I had a colleague of mine just 2 weeks ago who took his own life. So I'm well aware on a personal level of what it can do. So no one's immune, which is why if you are a family, maybe you like college football, maybe you don't, but if you have a loved one who is suffering, who has a severe substance use disorder, and you want to talk about what options may or may not be available to you, that's a conversation we'd like to have with you. So feel free to reach out to us and talk to one of our fabulous folks in intake. In the meantime, if you have any comments or questions, I'm interested to hear anything and everything people have to hear. I want to interact with you. I'll even make a video for you if there's a particular issue that's affecting your family, because if it's affecting yours, it's almost certainly affecting somebody else's family. We want to make sure people get the information that they need. And with that said, I'd love a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. That way you get more information. I'm putting out a video once, twice daily, so you get the information you need. And with that said, I appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.